Hi guys, welcome to this masterclass on question 3 of the Cambridge English Language reading paper. I'm going to talk to you about what we need to do to be successful in question 3, and then I'm going to show you an example question 3. So you could use that as a revision task to answer that question. Right, so question 3 is the final one on the paper, and probably the most challenging thing about question 3 is leaving yourself enough time to answer question 3 adequately. So it's really worth trying to keep an eye on the time throughout the exam so that you leave yourself enough time to get to this question and answer it adequately, because it's where there are also writing marks available, more writing marks available. So for this question, you'll use text C, which is the same as you've already used for question 2. So you're quite familiar with text C by the time you get to the final question paper. You will be asked to write a response to this passage in character as someone related to it. So it will look a little bit like this. Imagine you are the girl from text C. You will then be given 3 bullet points of things that you should comment on. The first 2 bullet points will be things that are explicitly described in the passage. So you need to find evidence and use that evidence in your response. The third bullet point is normally hinted at in the passage, but you normally need to do a little bit more extending it in a logical way yourself. So to answer question 3, the first thing you need to do is, as always, read the question. Highlight keywords in the question and in each bullet point, because it's quite a long question, this. So we might highlight, your teacher has asked you to write a report, experience of bullying, offering advice to younger students. We might highlight your experience in the first bullet point, good friend in the second bullet point, tips for survival in the third. Then we need to make a note of the purpose, audience, and form of the task. So for this example question, the purpose is to advise. We've been asked to write advice. The audience is younger students. And the form, the type of text you're being asked to write, is a report. So we know that reports are quite informative and give lots of evidence. So then the next step that you always need to follow in answer question 3 is finding the evidence. So read the passage again, annotate evidence for each of the bullet points. So you might choose 3 different colours, you might choose just a different star. What evidence have we got about their experience of bullying? What evidence have we got about what a good friend can do, or whatever it is that those bullet points are? You should usually try to find 3 or 4 pieces of evidence for the first 2 bullet points, and probably 2 for the last bullet point, which is usually where you'll need to make inferences, as we've said already. Then you need to think about structuring your response. Remember, this question will give you an opening line, so use that opening line. In this example, bullying might happen to everyone at some point, but that doesn't mean it should. We need to use that as the first sentence. Then use the bullet points to organise your paragraphs. So write 1 paragraph for bullet point 1, 1 paragraph for bullet point 2, 1 paragraph for bullet point 3. Makes it very clear you're answering the question properly then. You must, for this question, use your own words, but make sure that you've included all the evidence you could find for each of those bullet points. And you should really try to follow the conventions of the form that you've been given. So if you're told, write a formal letter, make sure it's a letter. It starts with dear and it's signed off with your full name. If you have been told to write a journal, you might include the date. If you've been told to write a newspaper article, you will need a headline. So think about the form of writing that you've been asked to write as well. A few top tips for this question. Really try to get into character. So think about who it is you're being asked to write about and the kind of things they would say, the kind of things they would think. That'll really help you get your tone right in your piece. Focus on using a wide range of vocabulary and use as much material from the passage as you can, but putting it into your own words. For this question, there are 15 marks for reading, so for selecting appropriate evidence, for getting the voice right, for making it sound like the character, and 10 marks, which is quite a lot, for the quality of your writing. So do think about things like vocabulary spelling, grammar, punctuation, paragraphing shouldn't be difficult because we've got the 3 bullet points. So use those as your 3 paragraphs, but make sure you're also focusing on those things which make quality writing too. So let me show you an example, question 3. You might have seen this before. It's linked under the video so that you can have a go at this yourself. This is a passage about a 16-year-old spending his school holidays doing some work experience at his dad's company. The passage talks through what it was like doing work experience, some of the things that happened to him, the fact that nobody trusted him because his dad is management and they thought he's a spy for them. Then you are asked, imagine you are Dad from text C. So the article is written by the boy on work experience, but your task in question 3 is to write as the dad. The owner of the company wants to introduce holiday work experience for more people. You have been asked to present a report to the owner of the company following your son's experience. In your report, you should comment on the challenges faced by Andrew and what you hoped he would gain from his 6 weeks at the factory, how different staff members treated Andrew, and what you learned about the thoughts and feelings of the people who work at the company. Now, the first 2 bullet points, there's lots of evidence in the passage on these 2 bullet points, so we can highlight those and put them into our own words. The third one, we need to make some more inferences because we're not told in the passage what the son told the dad. We need to imagine based on what we've read in the passage. And the rest of the question tells us, base your report on what you've read in text C, but be careful to use your own words. Address each of the 3 bullet points. Begin your report, summer work experience for young people, and write about 250 to 350 words. So I'm just going to show you how I would write my first paragraph on the challenges faced by Andrew and what you, the dad, hoped that he would gain from his 6 weeks at the factory. So I'm going to read the first few paragraphs looking for challenges that Andrew faced and for any interaction with Dad that might help me out with this. Waking up at 7 a.m. was unpleasant. That's a challenge. On the car journey, I was feeling too sorry for myself. Conversation. The first few days, I'd be working with the grunts, officially called apprentices. Most of them were just months older than me, but judged immediately I'd no skill of any use to them. It turned out the factory owner had only agreed as a favour to Dad. The other guys who'd asked for their kids to work there during the school holidays had been refused. Dad ensured I was kitted out in fetching, lightest blue overalls. Sounds like a challenge. Escorting me, he skirted the factory floor to avoid dirtying his suit, but chatted and seemed to get on with everyone from the grunts to the surliest, darkest blue overall-clad supervisor. Initially, I'd be helping in the coil winding department by not getting in the way and fetching coffee from the machine. I guess they chatted more freely when I was on a coffee fetching run, but I did learn there was discontent among the workforce, even talk of strike action. The morning dragged by. That's a challenge, it was boring. Eventually, Dad turned up announcing lunchtime. Usually he took a packed lunch, but our respective lethargy and stress that morning meant the sandwiches were still on the kitchen table at home. So it was stressful as well for them. At the canteen, workers, already packed in like sardines, formed an overall sea of blue. Dad navigated our way to the brown foodstuffs on offer. What would be my something to accompany my chips? Wittily, I requested salad. Dad's shoulders sank. The canteen staff chuckled. Baked beans were dully slopped into my plate. Okay, so I feel like I might have enough challenges here to write my first paragraph. Challenges faced by Andrew and what you hoped he would gain from 6 weeks at the factory. Now this bit, I actually think we already need to make some inferences here. Probably Dad is hoping that his son will gain some responsibility from getting up early, from having to dress in a uniform. Those might be some of the things that he hopes I will gain. So I'm going to use my first sentence. Summer work experience for young people and help them to learn a great deal. My son Andrew recently completed a work experience placement at my own company. Initially, I hoped, that's what it says in the bullet point, that Andrew would learn to be punctual, organised, and responsible. So it was a challenge for him to rise early and come to work appropriately dressed. These did give him a clearer picture of what real work is like. Okay, so I've only got 2 of those challenges in so far, so I would want to cover the food and the boredom as well. But this is a good start. Remember, as you write your question 3 responses, to keep coming back to the question, to keep coming back to the bullet points and make sure that you've covered everything in the bullet points. Sometimes they do this kind of thing in the question 3, where the bullet point is actually about 2 things. So really look out for that and make sure you've covered everything that they're asking for in the question in your own words.